Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today we're going to be going over what to buy and what to avoid this week in Grand Theft Auto Online. Now before we get into the video, drop a like if you guys enjoy or if you learned something, dislike if you don't of course, and consider subscribing to my channel if you guys are new. Starting off with the vehicle sitting here behind me. This is of course the Benefactor Terabyte. As I'm sure many of you will know, but in case you didn't, that's what this thing is called. It is one of the discounted vehicles this week, and it is one of the best vehicles in the entire game. It's the third most armored vehicle in the game. It has an optional missile lock-on jammer available for it. It has a master control terminal upgrade for it, which is found through the garment factory. You need to own that in order to get the master control terminal. And if you don't know what the master control terminal is, it's a really useful business-related item in GTA Online. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more later, but before we get into anything else, we got to talk about the bonus money activities going on this week in Grand Theft Auto Online. Starting off with the weekly challenge. Now, if you complete 3 terabyte client jobs this week, you will receive a bonus 100,000. You're going to launch those through the terabyte. So if you don't own one, you're not really going to be able to do that challenge. Luckily though, it is discounted like I said earlier. Now to get things started with double money and double RP, we have mobile operations center missions as well as terabyte client jobs, again found within the terabyte. We have Fooligan jobs from Dax. You're going to call him up to request those through your contacts on your phone. And we also have Deadline, which is a returning adversary mode. Deadline is like Tron, I guess, and if you take out enemies with the light trail behind your bikes, they lose and you win if you do it enough. It's a fairly okay game mode. I don't do very well at it, so I don't really like it too much, but my friends sure like to torture me with it. So there's that, I guess. And we also have double money on the black box file this week, which is going to be found through the Garment Factory or through the Darnell Inc. app on your phone. I'm going to show you guys this super quick. The priority file this week is the black box file, and it is on double by default because it's a priority file, and then it's doubled again. So it's $620,000 for completing it this week, which is actually really good. It's only going to be about 20 minutes long, so I would advise you to do this if you have a Garment Factory. Now additionally, we also have double supplies from Acid Lab resupply missions this week, as well as double Acid Lab production speed. So your Acid Lab is going to make product twice as fast for the remainder of this week, which is effectively a pretty good bonus actually, because the Acid Lab is already one of the fastest producing businesses in the entire game, and it's going to be twice as fast as it normally is for the remainder of this week, which is pretty awesome. So now that we've gone over the money bonuses, it is time to talk about the discounted vehicles this week, and we're going to go ahead and start off with the Benefactor Terabyte. Now the Terabyte, among some of the other discounts, is going to be found on Warstock Cash and Carry. The Terabyte is right here. It's discounted this week, so is the Mobile Operations Center. Now the Terabyte, as you can see, has a bunch of customization options. If you're going to be buying a Terabyte this week, I would recommend leaving the interior tint alone unless you really want to change it and you have money to burn. Then you can do that, obviously. The interior decal doesn't matter. The turret station is not worth getting. The drone station is mostly not worth getting. The weapon workshop may be worth getting if you don't already have it in another business or another vehicle. If you don't have it in anything else, you may want to consider getting the weapon workshop, but I would always advise you to just upgrade your agency and get your workshop through there, because you just get more for your money by doing that. But this is 30% off this week, so that's not terrible. And the specialized workshop will give you access to customizing the Oppressor Mark II. So if you want to own and customize a Mark II, you will need that specialized workshop within your Terabyte. This thing goes for $1,375,000 regularly, and discounted this week by 30%. It's going to be just under $1 million, coming in at $962,500 by default. That's not counting drone station or weapon workshops or anything like that. So keep that in mind. Now I'm going to show you guys in person here what the inside of the Terabyte is like, because I just have mine sitting right here, and this is something that is important to note. As you can see, this is the inside of the Terabyte. These are some of the stations where you're going to be able to operate the turrets and things like that. And this is the main feature of the Terabyte though, is this screen right here. Now you can register as a boss to access the touchscreen computer, so I will just go ahead and do that to show you what it's like by default. From here you can do the client jobs, which again are double money and double RP this week. You can also launch air freight cargo missions, but I do not believe you can do the land source missions from this menu, so that's something that you should avoid. You can also source special cargo from here, or vehicle cargo, as well as supplies for gun running, or the biker businesses, but you should be buying supplies anyways, so I don't really recommend running anything from here other than special cargo sources and the actual client jobs, and maybe vehicle cargo if that's something you're grinding. However, if you back out of the menu, you can also access the master control terminal once you've upgraded this thing within the garment factory, like I said. And the master control terminal is one of the best upgrades in the entire game. As you can see from here, I can see all of my businesses that I own, and I can do things like purchase supplies for them. So for example, my bunker needs supplies right now, so I can just simply click here, click to enter, go to the resupply tab and buy supplies. And I don't have to travel to my bunker to do this. Now say that I needed supplies in that lab, I could buy them from here as well, like I do, right? So I need supplies here, so let me unregister as a CEO. I'm going to register as a MC president. I'm going to access the master control terminal, and I'm going to go ahead and purchase some supplies for my lab here. And as you can see, that's done. I could also do it for coke, I could do it for weed, I could do it for counterfeit, I could do it for whatever I need to. Plus you can also source air freight cargo, special cargo, and vehicle cargo from here as well. So you can probably see how useful the master control terminal is just by that alone. So I would highly recommend getting a terabyte this week if you don't have one already, and upgrading it, and then making sure you have a garment factory and getting the master control terminal upgrade. Now, something that hasn't been made explicitly clear to me is if the master control terminal upgrade is 30% off this week. Now, the benefactor terabyte, including upgrades and modifications, is 30% off, but I'm not 100% sure if that includes the master control terminal. So somebody who doesn't have the master control terminal but does have the garment factory, if you could let us know in the comment section, I will pin your comment on this video, or I'll pin my own comment and just say, yeah, it's available and it's discounted, or no, it is not discounted. So please let me know in the comment section down below. This is how you can help out the rest of the community here. Okay, so now that my terabyte little rant is over, let's go back onto Warstock Cash and Carry. And we're going to talk about the Mobile Operations Center. The Mobile Operations Center, as you guys can see here, is available this week. The Hauler Custom is the alternative cab for this thing. I would recommend just keeping the Phantom. In Bay 1, you can have a command center or living quarters. You can also have a weapon and vehicle workshop in this thing, or a living quarters. I would definitely recommend the weapon and vehicle workshop. This is something that you're going to need to have in order to upgrade vehicles like the HVY Insurgent Pickup into the HVY Insurgent Pickup Custom. So if you're interested in doing things like that, the Mobile Operations Center is going to be a good purchase this week. However, if you own an Avenger already, I would avoid picking up the MOC, because the Avenger also has a vehicle and weapon workshop available for it. So if you already own it, there's no point in buying an MOC to get it as well, because that's just going to give you two vehicles that do the exact same thing. However, something that is super important to note about the MOC is that the cab is the most armored vehicle in GTA Online. It can take 67 homing missiles from an Oppressor Mark II or a fighter jet, whatever shoots homing missiles. It can take 67 of them, which is absolutely insane. It is the most armored vehicle in the entire game, and you can use this to your advantage. So do with that information what you will. You will need to own a bunker though in order to purchase the Mobile Operations Center, so that is also something to note. Now we also have 30% off of the MTL Brigade 6x6 with the Acid Lab installation included with it. So instead of $750,000 this week, it's only going to be $525,000 to get the Acid Lab, which is not bad. And the equipment upgrade, I do believe, is also discounted this week, so that's $250,000 regularly, and minus 30%. That is only $175,000. So that's not bad. If you don't have an Acid Lab, you should definitely be getting one this week. Moving on to some regular vehicle discounts, starting off on Legendary Motorsport, we have the Pfister Comet S2 Cabrio, the Overflawed Xeno, and the Pfister Growler, all discounted, all by 30% off this week. Starting off with the Pfister Comet S2 Cabrio, this thing is horrendous. However, it does have a missile lock-on jammer available for it, so if you got one, you might want to put that on it, but I would heavily advise you to not purchase this car this week. You might think, yeah, it's a Porsche 911, yeah, it's probably got a handle really well. Guess what? It absolutely doesn't, and it sucks. Don't buy a Comet S2 Cabrio. You will be disappointed. I promise you that. Next up, we have the Overflawed Xeno. Now, when this thing first came out, it was absolutely broken because of a mirror upgrade for it that would cause it to get stuck and caught on any sort of edge in GTA Online. That could be a curb, that could be a small bump in the road. It would go flying. However, that has been fixed now, so it's still not worth buying. unfortunately, because it's just not that good performance-wise. Now, if you just want it for the looks or whatever, that's totally cool, but as far as performance is concerned, don't even look near this thing, because for the money, you're getting scammed if you want performance for this car. It's based off of the SSC Tuatara in real life, and unfortunately, this car is just not that good. Customization-wise, it's okay. It's got some nice customization options that you could do to it. It's a fairly decent-looking car, I think, but as far as performance goes, it absolutely does not back up the look of the car. I would avoid this thing if you want performance. I would still probably avoid it even if you want customization, because I still don't think it's that awesome, really. So I would just say to avoid the Xeno this week. It really is kind of a disappointing car, to be honest. Next up, we have the Pfister Growler, and it is a slightly better version of the Pfister Comet S2 Cabrio that we also talked about. It has mildly better handling, but it is slower generally, and it's got a lot of customization. So if you want a car for customizing, this is an awesome one. It came out with a tuner's DLC. It also has stance mode, so you can lower it extra, which will make the handling a little bit worse, just so you are aware. But it does have a ton of customization options. Looks really, really good if you want to make like a Cayman GT4 RS build or something like that. It's honestly a really awesome car for customizing. For driving, it's not that awesome. If you play on console, you'll probably like it a lot more than if you play on PC, because you just have that added ability to control it. On PC, I would say you probably still don't want this car unless you want it to just sit in your garage, or you want it for tuners DLC races, but even then you're going to lose with this thing anyways. So it's really only good for customizing and maybe going to like a car meet or something like that. For $854,000, I do feel like it is a little expensive for what you're getting. Kind of a decent car, kind of not. Really depends who you ask. I think most people would tell you, though, that it is a little bit underwhelming for the money. So for that reason, I would advise you to not purchase this thing, especially if you want performance. Moving over to Benny's, we have the True Fade Nero discounted this week by 30% off, going for $1,008,000. Not a bad price. Can also be upgraded into the Nero Custom, so if you wanted to do that, you would be saving a little bit of money on the initial Nero purchase. Based off of the Bugatti Chiron, this thing looks really good. Customization-wise, gotta say, a little bit underwhelming. Performance-wise as well, even though it does have amazing handling and great off-the-line acceleration, the top speed is not that amazing on the Nero. And the customization options without going to the custom variant are kind of weak. I like this car a lot. I do own one. I currently have one, and I will have one forever. But I would say for the money, performance-wise, you could do better. However, if you want a nice car to drive around in, something that looks pretty classy, everything like that, with decent performance for a non-HSW car, it's an okay car. But I would still probably advise against purchasing this thing, especially if you don't have an Acid Lab or a Terabyte or an MOC. I would buy all of those before I would buy the Nero. Still a cool car, but just probably not the best for everybody. All right, on to Southern San Andreas Super Autos. Starting off, we got the DeClasse Walton L35. This is a relatively cool pickup truck. However, it's way too expensive for what you're actually getting, especially if you care about performance. Again, I know I go on about performance, but it is the only way to measure if a vehicle is good versus other vehicles. So I don't know what you guys want me to do. I get comments about it all the time talking about performance. How else am I supposed to tell you if a vehicle is good or not without knowing what you specifically like as a person? I don't know. Generally, the Walton is not a very good vehicle. For off-road class racing, it's not very good. It is pretty good for free mode off-roading and everything like that. It's got some nice customization. I think it's a cool truck, but would I advise you to purchase it for almost $1.2 million discounted? That's insane to me. I would not buy this truck unless you absolutely love it and you really, really want one and you have a ton of excess money in GTA Online. For the majority of you, though, I don't think this thing is going to be a worthy purchase. Next up, we got the Tulip M100, and the guys that know me for ragging on these cars and cars that look like this and are similar to this, they're going to be pissed. But again, it's almost the same price as the Walton. And for what? The customization on this thing is not very good. It does have some fairly cool like turbo options for the hood that are like exposed or in the grill and stuff like that. It's really kind of cool as a drag racing themed car, but even in the muscle category, this thing is absolutely nothing special. Performance wise, not good at all. Price wise, it is absolutely terrible. Now, if you like it for nostalgia or you want it to customize or anything like that, buy it if you got the money for it, but for the vast majority of people, it's not worth owning. And for the final discount of the week, we have the Declasse Impaler LX and the Willard Eudora, so the final discounts of the week. The Impaler LX is a 4-door basically version of the Tulip M100 kind of. They look really similar. They have fairly similar performance, although the Impaler LX does have better handling than the Tulip, so there is something to be said there. It's also a little bit cheaper. Out of the two, I would definitely get the Impaler LX. It is a much more worthy car. Customization wise, it's pretty underwhelming again. I understand that a lot of people really like this car and are big fans of, you know, 80s vehicles and things like that. Again, if you want the car and you got the money for it, buy it. Again, for the majority of you, it's not going to be worth owning this thing. It's just not that good. Now, oddly enough, the Willard Eudora is actually a car that I would recommend for one very niche and specific reason, and that is that if you can unlock the taxi livery for this vehicle, you can use this in downtown cab company missions, and it is better than the regular taxi, and it's also better than the Classique Broadway, which also has a taxi livery available for it. So this thing can actually speed up your taxi fares and therefore make you a little bit more money in the long run. For that reason, I'd say it is kind of worth owning. I also think it's a very cool looking classic car. Some good customization on this one as well. Honestly, not that overpriced for what you're getting, especially considering you can actually make money with the vehicle. So I know the guys about the Impaler LX and that Tulip M100 are going to be pissed that I recommend this thing and not those two cars, but this thing can at least make you a little bit of your money back if you're willing to do those cab missions. And those missions actually pay fairly decently nowadays, so you may want to consider doing that. The Eudora is a fairly good car. Like I said, nice customization. Pretty slow when it comes to actual performance, but as a cab, it is a good vehicle. I would only buy it if you want to use it as a taxi, or if you just want to customize it and keep it in a garage, maybe go, you know, cruise around in it. But performance wise, it still sucks. So keep that in mind. All right, apologies that the video is running a bit long here, gentlemen. We're going to go to the casino car meet, talk about all the vehicles of the dealerships and everything like that. Let's get to it. The podium vehicle within the casino is the Albany Cavalcade XL. If you can get it for free, you might as well. Within the LS car meet this week, we have the Lampadati Tropos Rally available to be won. And if you place top 3 just once, you will get it. Absolutely try to do this. This thing just got a bunch of liveries added to it. Customization wise, there's not a whole lot you can do, but it is a fantastic rally car in GTA Online. I would absolutely recommend winning it. These are the vehicles available within the car meet this week. We have the Lampadati Furore GT on the left here, going for $440,000. We have the Ducati Massacre race car here in the middle, and the Western Damon. The Damon is going for 145 grand this week. It is a pretty cool looking motorcycle. Don't know a whole lot about it, to be honest. I'm not that into bikes, but I think for 145 grand, you kind of can't go wrong if that's your style. And the Massacre race car is 385,000. Customization wise, this thing has a lot that you can do to it. Surprisingly, for a car that's as old as it is, it's a decent vehicle. However, just so you are aware, you cannot remove the livery from it, so that may be a drawback for some of you. I think it's a cool car. For 385 grand, I would have one if I didn't already own one. The Furore GT for 440,000 is a little bit underwhelming. Absolutely no customization. However, I do think it is actually a pretty fantastic car if you'll give it a chance. For 440 grand though, I do understand if you do not want to purchase it. 448 grand actually. Decent sounding car, decent driving car. Yeah, just nothing you can do customization wise, unfortunately. So for that reason, I'd probably not recommend it for most people. All right, and within Simeon's, we got a ton of removed vehicles, starting off with the Vapid Riata for $385,000. This thing has a ton of customization, and it's a really good off-roader for free mode. This version of it is going to cost you $403,000 due to the livery that's on it. If you want a good off-roader, I would recommend the Riata. It's fairly cheap, and it's fun to cruise around in online with in free mode. For racing, not going to be the best ever though, so do keep that in mind. Also got the Canis Bodhi, which is Trevor's truck in GTA story mode. $25,000 for this. Not a lot in the way of customization. There is a little bit that you can do to it though. For 25 grand, you really cannot go wrong. We also have the Lampadati Pagala here, which does have a tiny bit of customization, not much. $400,000 for this. I personally don't think it's worth it, but you may think it is worth it. And for 400 grand, honestly, it's like kind of hit or miss. You might like it, you might not. For 400 grand, it's not the biggest loss ever. So do with that what you will. We also have the Ubermacht Revolter here on some really weird looking rims. This thing's weaponizable. You can put front mounted machine guns on it. However, no armor or anything special like that. It goes for $1,669,000 as fitted here. For that price, I absolutely do not recommend this thing. I would only ever buy that thing on sale. And of course, we have the Declassy Tornado Rat Rod here as well. Not much in the way of customization for this thing either. $378,000. I would say to avoid this thing as well. Luxury autos, exciting as ever. We got the Bravado Dorado and the Balakan Envisage, both of which are available on the websites. And I just got hit by a car. That's crazy. Within the chop shop this week, these are the vehicles that are available to be stolen. We have the Dinka Ballista Kanjo here. In order to get that, you're going to need to complete the Podium Robbery. We also have the Champion available for completing the McTony Robbery, and the Gangbanger Robbery will give you the Pegasi Zaruso. Unfortunately though, as usual, none of them are claimable, so that completely sucks. Now, I showed this a little earlier in the video, but of course these are the files that are available within the Garment Factory this week. The priority file again is the black box file on double money as well, so you should be doing this week if you own a Garment Factory. Alright guys, and the gun van location this week is just north of Fort Zancudo, behind the restaurant on the side of the highway. And within the gun van this week, we have the L. Strickler rifle, the battle rifle, the stun gun available, which is cool, the combat shotgun, the Gusenberg sweeper, vintage pistol, and the nightstick available, which are all fairly decent. The battle rifle is 50% off this week. I don't recommend it. It sucks. Stun gun is kind of cool, I guess, but it's really overpriced, so I don't necessarily super recommend it. All the rest of the weapons in here are just kind of eh. The combat shotgun's cool. Vintage pistols, okay. Gusenberg sweeper is pretty sick actually, so I would recommend buying that. Other than that though, you can kind of take it or leave it. As far as the throwables go, we got grenades, stickies, and pipe bombs, and we also of course do have the body armor available as well. And last but not least, it's time to go over your time trials for the week. Your RC Bandito time trial is Construction Site 1. Your Junk Energy time trial is Sewer System. Your regular time trial is Great Ocean Highway, and your HSW time trial is Textile City, which starts right here as you guys can see, and it ends up at Stab City, just north of Harmony. Anyway, there you have it guys. That has been it for what to buy and what to avoid this week in Grand Theft Auto Online. Again, sorry this one ran a little bit long. I just had to talk about the Terabyte in particular there quite a bit, as well as the MOC and the Acid Lab as well. So forgive me for that. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video or if you learned something, dislike if you didn't of course, and consider subscribing to my channel if you guys are new. With that being said, I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, take care. Peace.